Right. Hi, Susan Francis here. I'm just going live now with my powerful process for turning your challenges into your greatest gift. I'm just giving give a minute or so for people to come on. I did put a little message over on my profile page to let people know that I would be here on my over on my business page. So hopefully people will have got that and that they'll come over here and join us. I'm just double checking so that I can check that it is actually going live. So I'll just give a couple of minutes. Just to give people a chance to come over. Check that the camera, people can see me okay, and the lights, it's nice and sunny here today, not like last time where it was pouring down with rain. We'll just have a look. Yeah, that looks like that is live there. I'm going to turn my volume off there on the computer and see how we're going. Right, let's have a little look. Okay, so I think that is about it. I'm just checking, sorry, I'm looking over at my computer as well so I can see that it's gone live on the page and that we're on. Okay, so hi everyone. This is part 2 actually of my 7-part series, Live Life in Tune with Who You Want to Be. During this live stream series, you're going to discover how to turn difficult relationships into the best thing that ever happened. And this video 2 that I'm doing is the powerful process to turning your life's challenges into your greatest gift. So first of all, I want to say welcome. Introduce myself for those that don't know me. So I'm Susan Francis and I work with high-performing professional women who are experiencing difficult relationship dynamics, whether that's with family, or friends, a partner or their children, and it's impacting their business dreams and goals. To give you a bit of an idea of the range of results that I get from my clients, lady I've recently been working with, she's running her business and her family thought her business wasn't worthy, and it was actually quite a successful business, but because of the way things were going with her and her family and the way that they thought about her business, she was living in the shadow of their judgment, and she started to shrink to fit their ideals. She lost faith in herself and she felt totally burnt out, and with that obviously her business, the success of her business started to go down. Since working together, she now has a total belief and trust in herself and in her business, that she's really reignited the passion that she had for what she was doing, and because she's ignited her passions again, her income has increased and she's now living far more happy. You know, she's a lot more happy with what she's doing, and her business is back on track, and she's a lot happier with who she's being within her business as well as within her family. And that's one example. Another lady that I've been working with, she had a very successful business, but she'd evolved so much in that journey. You know, when you're running a business and when you're going through that process of becoming, of putting together your business and becoming successful, you evolve so much as a person within that. And she had evolved so much that it had affected the dynamics between her and her husband. And through our work together, she realised that actually the pieces couldn't quite fit anymore with that, and yet she left her husband, but she managed to move through the divorce unscathed, and she's now in a relationship with somebody who is her equal, and she's really living in tune with who she wants to be. And the last time that I spoke to her, she said to me that this was the best thing that had ever happened to her. And actually, you know, I really love that, the fact that, you know, sometimes the things that we can think are the worst things can actually turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to us. So that's why during this live stream series, what I really wanted to do was to look at the different things, different ways that you can turn difficult relationships into the best thing that ever happened. So please comment below, share this video if you think it's going to be useful to other people, tag yourself as well, and tag anybody else that you think that you might like to, that they might find that this is helpful for them. Subscribe, obviously, if you wanted to. This is part of a series that I'm doing, so if you want to make sure that you get all of the parts, then either subscribe to my page or click like on the page so that you get notifications for when I'm live with the next, with the next parts in the series, so you don't miss any of it. So let's have a look. So today I said I was going to talk about the powerful process for turning your life's challenges into your greatest gift. And this is really about appreciating your journey and appreciating the journey that you're on. You know, life, I always sort of say, you know, this is part of your life's journey, and the things that happen to us, life's challenges, are actually lessons for us all. And those good and bad, good experiences, bad experiences, all of them are part of that life's journey. And sometimes, you know, we get, you know, I always believe that we're always in the right place at the right time. And I always believe that those experiences come to us because there are lessons for us to learn from them. And often we can get caught up in what's actually going on and not have the, and not in the moment have the ability to kind of look and say, okay, why is this being brought to me? Why am I in this situation? What is the universe trying to tell me? What's the messages that are coming to me here? And actually, although I'd already planned what I was going to talk about this week, because it's part of the 7-part series, the universe, again, I always find it comes up and there's synchronicity everywhere. And it actually provided me with being able to be part of and observe a situation around this particular topic this very weekend. And I was able to observe that and see it absolutely fitted exactly. So I will kind of give a little bit of an insight into that as well. So, but initially, let's have a look at, you know, what the problems are with not appreciating your life's journey. And one of the problems with that is that we can go around thinking that life happens to us rather than for us, which is another version of being in victim mode, thinking that everything that happens, that, you know, life's just happening to you and that you don't have any choices in what's going on. And also then, you know, when you do find yourself in situations, you know, difficult times, thinking that there's no way out, and getting caught up in just sort of believing that it's, you know, it's kind of like a cause and effect thing, and thinking that you're just caught up in things things are happening to you, and that you've got no way out, or no choices, or no ways that you can deal with things. So it's that kind of, you know, thinking life's happening to you rather than for you. And when you get caught up like that, then what happens is you don't see the messages. I mean, I said earlier about synchronicities, and yes, I personally all the time think that life, it does throw little, you know, synchronicities at you, and it's being aware of those and seeing the little messages. Because if you don't see the little messages that are popping up, then what happens is you start to repeat patterns, repeat behaviours, repeat situations, and they just show up again. You know, if you don't learn what you need to learn from one situation, it's going to come up again in another situation. It may have a different guise to it, it may be with a different person, it may be, you know, have a different form to it, if you like, but it's the same lesson that you need to be learning that keeps repeating itself. And happens first of all is that you know, we get these little nudges from the universe. It might be a little tap on the shoulder and a little message, and we ignore it, and then now and again you get a little sharper pinch comes along and you ignore that, and then the next thing you know, something big happens and you get an almighty universal slap in the face, because these patterns are repeating and situations are repeating, and it's about kind of looking at those and seeing, well, you know, what's the message in this for me? What is it that I need to learn from that? Another problem with this is seeing things as a problem, not always having then a negative point of view about life and things that things that happen, situations that happen in life. You know, life it's not always going to be perfect. There are, if it was, it wouldn't be. It would be pretty boring, to be quite honest. But when you see everything as a problem, then it means you tend to approach things then with a negative point of view. and that stops you moving forward and stops you actually, you know, achieving your true potential. You can get caught up in being in reaction mode with this, and you know, staying in emotional states like anger. They'll tend to linger for longer. So you know, when we're not looking and seeing what is it I'm meant to learn from this? Where am I? Where is this part of my journey? Where is this part of becoming me, being the person that I'm meant to be? Where is, you know, the things that have happened in your life, the situations, the things that that stand out for you most? Where are those things that are giving you the things that make you who you are? Where are those lessons for you in order for you to be able to take those lessons and see, you know, and look to how you might do something differently in the future? And how can you avoid staying in situations like being angry or being reactive? Because that's what happens when we kind of don't sort of look and see that this is a repeat or a message that we need to learn. What we keep doing is just we keep repeating those and repeating those, and we don't learn ways then of dealing with them and then dealing with the emotions that come up. So those emotions just keep sort of kind of building up, one on top of the other, on top of the other, and we don't find ways of dealing with those. And when we end up with those emotions that are constantly building up and up and up, we're holding in then hurt, and we're holding in pain. And somebody actually, it's funny because somebody actually said to me over the weekend, well, hurt people hurt. And it's true. When we're getting those, when we're not dealing with things properly and we're pushing it down and we're just repeating it and adding more to it, what happens is we end up with the way that we then look to deal with it is by it might be lashing out or being angry or holding on to anger. And hurt people. And again, a big thing for me with this is that then means that for your children, you're modelling that for your children, because you're not showing them, you know, we as parents, we're here to model how for our children ways of dealing with situations so that they learn how to deal with things better. And I do bang on a lot about what we're modelling for our children, and I do think that when we start to see that how we're reacting to situations is actually a way that our children will learn to react to situations. You know, that's a huge reason for wanting to change the way we do that. So yeah, when I do these live streams, I do tend to bang on about the modelling that we do for our children. So you know, just as a story that just to tell a bit of an insight from, as I said earlier, I was able to observe a situation over the weekend that fits totally in with what I'm speaking about today. And that is, and as I said, I always believe that we're in the right place at the right time. So for me, being able to be an observer of that and being able to be part of that situation really for me was, again, another little nudge from the universe to say, look, here it is. Here you can see it actually sort of really playing out, how people, you know, hurt people, and it can perpetuate through, you know, really across generations and across years. And the situation that I witnessed at the weekend was one that has gone on for years, and it's a form of sibling rivalry that's gone on for a very long time, and a lot of hurt and pain and disillusionment has been built up, so that there's a lot of competition between these two siblings and a lot of rivalry that leads them to want to find ways to criticise one another and to always find fault and prove that each one is, you know, deals with things better or is better than the other one, not wanting to kind of be the weakest one or not wanting to show any sort of signs of weakness, and that actually causes them to hurt one another, to want to kind of lash out and blame the other one for any situations. And at the time they were kind of coming out with a lot of reasons that on the surface sounded reasonable and sounded as though that they were trying to be caring and sounding as though that they were, trying to do the right thing. But underneath it was all fueled with a different intention. And actually the behaviours that they are displaying as siblings is actually being passed on to their children, because it's been the situation with them is affecting children and other people in the family. And although they're saying that they don't want it to affect their children, they're not actually seeing that, they weren't actually seeing that it was doing exactly that. And the thing is, when this sort of, and it does take time to take, you have to take a step back and have to, look at what's going on and checking intention underneath what's going on. So as I said, we can all have reasons on the surface while we're reacting in certain ways or doing certain things, but it's about looking and seeing what the underlying intention is underneath all of that, because our reasons on the surface can be one thing and they can all sound very good, but actually it's checking what's the intention underneath. What is it that I want to achieve out of this? But when you can start to look at an understanding, there was with this situation at the weekend, there was a whole lifetime, a whole journey that both the siblings had gone on, that had different situations that had created where it's got to today. And when you start to look at what that journey is and kind of seeing those situations and owning them and respecting them and actually showing love to yourself and others within that situation, then you can start to move through the negative situations quickly, let go of some of the pain and the hurts from the past, and get a real perspective on what's going on and be able to see what's happening and to start to change it. It's certainly much easier than to understand your emotions and create new ways of dealing with those emotions. And again, from that, the offshoot all of the time is the fact that when you start to deal with these situations better, you start to model that for your children so that they can deal with situations better, so that they don't get caught up in the negative emotions as well. And you're showing them how to get the best out of life, and how to not carry around pain and hurt and take that out on other people, or feel as though things that are happening to them are that they've got no control of. For me in this situation at the weekend, it was really good for me to be able to be the observer, because there would have been a time years ago that I would have got caught up in the whole drama of that situation myself. So for me, it was good to be able to, and I'm going to be honest, there was a moment when the emotion of the situation hit me, and I was, it's kind of like a first human reaction is to look and sort of, how does that affect me? So to be able to very quickly step into the position of being the observer and seeing what was going on, checking my feelings and checking my intentions, was a really good reminder for me not to get caught up in any old patterns, and to be able to take myself out of the equation and not allow my ego to jump in and want to respond in old ways. And actually, by understanding where you're coming from and where, what you've been through and the reasons why, that can be such a powerful thing for actually looking and seeing how you want to deal with things in the future and being able to deal with things differently in the future. So the powerful process that I'm talking about that you can use to turn life challenges into your greatest gift is to look and retrace your steps. And it's what I call, I've got a little process that I call this, which is the journey mapping process. And to do that, what I do this regularly with my clients, and it's about marking out your journey so far. So for me, that would be, perhaps take a piece of paper, do like a little timeline on it, and put down from when you were born to today, and literally go through and look on that and mark out all of the significant events and life moments, right from birth up until today, the significant moments that stand out for you. Things that are challenges, things that are times of trouble, things that are times of happiness, and literally just map them out, how old you were, and so that you can actually see yourself go through the different, your different ages. You don't have to put something for every year, but just put out the significant moments and significant life moments for you. And when you've done that and you've gone through that, I then sort of, one of the things I say is to go back and then just look at each of those times. Look at the really significant ones that stand out for you. And make a little note of the lessons that you learnt at those times. You know, what it gave you. What did you get out of that situation? What are you grateful for? It may be that having whatever that significant moment was gave you more resilience. It gave you a sense of self. It may have taught you how to love unconditionally. Some of those significant moments may have been the birth of a child, or getting married, or could have been parents' divorce, or, you know, anything that you have, you know, throughout that time. Take a little look at those, go back over them and see what lessons did I learn in that moment. What, you know, looking back now at that, what was the best thing, what came out of that for me? Is that something that's actually turned into a really strong value for you? Did it create something that allowed you to set boundaries, or, you know, that's where your strength came from? Did it show you that you're resilient, that you were able to bounce back again? And then when you've done that and you've looked at what lessons you learned from each of those times, go back again and look for any patterns that occur, and are there any sort of different lessons that you've learned again and again, and look and see, are there repetitive patterns that, oh, okay, I didn't quite learn that time around, but actually in seeing that I've had a similar situation, or something that has taught me the same thing, there's a pattern there of something that something from your life that's a repetitive pattern for you. It could be something like you got into a certain situation, happened that you didn't have any boundaries in place, and therefore it's repeated itself, and it's about teaching you to, you know, the lesson that you need to take from that is about setting boundaries for yourself. So when you go back and look at these patterns, what I would want you to do next is to then go back and look and say, well, what did you need to know in that moment? So if you were able to go back and walk alongside yourself now at that time, what would you say to yourself? What's the one thing, what's the one message, one thing that you really needed to know back then at that time that you know now? Doing this can give you some perspective on things. It can help you to understand what your journey is, and it can help you to show gratitude for those moments, take those lessons, show gratitude for those lessons, and also it can help you to show forgiveness to others for maybe those situations, or forgiveness for yourself for how you reacted or responded, or how you dealt with that situation. Whenever I look at forgiveness, I always say it's not just about forgiving other people, it's about forgiving yourself. And actually in forgiving others, what you're actually doing is you're freeing up yourself. But as I say, go through, mark off on the timeline the significant moments in your life. Look at what lessons you learned from those significant moments. Look and see if there are any patterns, any repetitive patterns there, and then look at what it is that you needed to know. If you could go back and walk beside yourself, what would you tell yourself? And just kind of look at the picture that brings out for you, because all of those things are the things that grow up to make that you know, are all been put together to make you the wonderful human being that you are now. And then have a look and see at those lessons, at what's the wider impact that in now having an understanding of your journey, now having some gratitude for that, some forgiveness for that. What's the wider impact that will have, either on your family or your friends or your children or your partner? What would it have on your work and the work that you do and how you show up in life? It really is a powerful process, one that I do with my clients all the time. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link, because I do have a worksheet that I use with my clients that takes them through that process. And it's got all of the instructions written on there. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to post the link to that worksheet in the comments box here. In fact, let me see if I can do... if I can do that right now, see how good my technical abilities are to actually go over and post the link. Let me see if I can add that as a comment. Use the linked. Oh, yeah, look, I've got that in there, and I'm going to post that there. There we are. The link's posted in the comments there for you. So if you wanted to download that so that you've got something you can print out and actually work through, then it's there in the comments box below. You will need to put your email address in, but I can assure you that will add you to my newsletter list as well. But I can assure you I only send things out when I think it's something that's going to be helpful to you. So let's have a look next. Let's have a look. So next week, this is, I hope you do download that or work through that little worksheet and take a look at your life journey and see what comes up for you. If there's anything there, any significant things there for you, then please do pop them down below. I'd be really interested to see what they are, and how, in seeing that that's what your journey is, that and those things that are out of your journey, how that helps you, and see some things that perhaps that you might have thought of that were times in your life that were challenges, that actually you can see that now that there are some gifts in those. I'd really love to see your comments on those in below, and if you've got any questions on what I've spoken about today, then that would be really good. Next week, I'm going to share my top tip for taking back your power in negative situations. So make sure you comment below, share this if you think it's going to be helpful to anybody. Private message me if you've got any questions that you want to ask me and you don't want to put it in the chat box. Don't forget to subscribe or like the page so that you get notifications of next time I'm live. It will again be next Monday at 1 o'clock. So I look forward to seeing you there, and thank you for joining me today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.